Hey guys, it's Jacqueline and welcome back to another speed build in The Sims 4. Today's video is another build from my Recreating Stars Hollow series. So this is the Dragonfly Inn, which is in Gilmore Girls. It is the inn that Lorelai and Suki own. If you're not familiar with the show, basically it's two women and they open an inn together and it's just like their dream job and stuff, and it's great and very wholesome and pure. So that is what we're building today, and this was going to be my second to last build in this series, but then a few people have been commenting other builds and I'm not sure if I'm going to do all of them. I'm definitely strongly considering doing the black, white, and red movie theater, and then obviously I still have to do Lorelai and Rory's house, which I'm saving for the last build because I want to have it as like the finale build. I don't know, I just think it's the most iconic one, so I felt like it would be the best. I was kind of like questioning whether or not I should have done it at the beginning at first, because I did Luke's build, or Luke's diner and apartment first, because I felt like that was like still recognizable, you know, so like if you look at it and you see it, you might be like, oh, I know what that is. I don't know, I probably overthink it a little too much, but that's fine. So yeah, this build is another one that I really underestimated in terms of like just how long it would take, and I don't want to say difficulty level, but like recreatability, because the thing is, there's definitely like, I think you're capable of recreating the aesthetic of it in The Sims, but the actual items were a little bit more difficult because there's a lot of like prints and stuff, a lot of florals, which actually we are really lacking in The Sims. I don't know why. I think it's because if you do florals, they end up looking like pretty alpha. Like we have a few items in the game, particularly in cast, that are floral like prints and stuff, and they look sort of alpha to me at least, so that might be why. They might just like, I mean, I say this like the Sims people are trying to make it Maxis match. Obviously they are Maxis, so naturally it's going to be Maxis match no matter what they do, because they're the ones that are designing the aesthetic of the game in the first place, but I just feel like maybe it's that they're trying to like stick with their style or something, I don't know. Either way, we do not have a lot of florals in the game, which is also going to be making it difficult, I think, to do Lorelai and Rory's house, but I'll figure that out when I come to it. So this one was definitely the outside, I think, is a pretty accurate recreation. It might be one of the most accurate, and I'm really happy with it. Then the inside, we'll see when we get in there. There was a few things that I had to sort of like switch up a bit from what they would have been before, but I still think it turns out really nice. Like, it definitely would be fun to come here and play. And speaking of that, by the way, I did decide to make this functional as a restaurant, I believe. I know if you're watching the build and you notice it, and don't point it out to me because I already know, that I forgot a few of the items that you need to make a restaurant functional, and I do have to play test it because I'm not sure if a few of the items are functional based on like where I put them in the build, because I have a tendency to use move objects, and I put something on the gallery and then eventually I start playing with it by myself and I'm like, wow, this is not a functional build at all, and then I feel bad, so I have to take it off the gallery and put a new one on, because I feel bad like keeping one up that people can't actually use if they try to use it. So anyway, yeah, that's what's happening, and I considered several different things that I could do to make, because obviously we don't have functional like hotels in the game or functional inns, which is really sad. I hope that we get those at some point, because I think it would be so much fun to like have your sim go on a vacation, you know, because we just have vacation worlds, but I kind of feel like, you know, Sulani is a vacation world for a lot of sims. I'm sure they would like to go there and like have a vacation and just chill out, but we can't do that because we don't have hotels, so it's a whole thing. But yeah, I think that would be really cool. In the meantime, I considered making it a lounge because I thought that would be interesting also to like, I don't know, just have sims sort of come and chill there, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of, in the show, there's a lot of people that just like hang out at the inn, a lot of people that get lunch there and stuff, so that's why I decided to make it a restaurant, because I feel like it makes sense for them to just go and, you know, they get food, they can hang out, there's like a lot of couch areas and stuff and a jukebox and everything, so they can just sit and hang out and whatnot. So I felt like it was a good idea to make it into a restaurant, but obviously you could have it functional. I mean, it would function as a house too, like you could do whatever with it really. So yeah, and I'm sorry if it looked kind of slow coming together, like the first bit of it, because I was copying the floor plan off of a floor plan that I found on Pinterest, which actually I believe was an Etsy floor plan, because some people, they do this really cool thing. I believe it's just one specific person on Etsy that's made floor plans for like a bunch of different TV show residences, and it's so cool. Like they just look really intricate. I don't know, I think it would be very difficult to do, because like I was trying to figure out the floor plan for a lot of builds for this series, and let me tell you, it was difficult. Like it seems like it shouldn't be, because you see it so often, and like you see characters walk through different rooms and you'd think you could get an orientation of it, but you really don't. So I am quite impressed with that person that did that. So yeah, I was using that, and that is pretty much it to say for the exterior of the build. Oh, also, by the way, this is totally random, but I am in love with this bush. So it's from Get Together, the by debug, the like show live edit objects section, and it's so pretty. It's like, I mean, obviously you can see it, but it's like a bush, but it has white flowers all over it, and I don't know why. I've never seen it before or used it before, but I just thought it was gorgeous because I picked out the tree originally that's also from the Get Together live edit objects, which was so pretty, and I was like, oh, a pretty tree, you know? But then there was a bush that matched it, and I was so excited. So yeah, I'm really excited about the bush. I think I'll probably use that a lot, because it's like the ones from Sulani, the ones from Island Living, except that the flowers aren't so huge, and I feel like they look much more reasonable because of that. So yeah. Anyway, as for the exterior of this build, there's this fountain thing, which is like the main feature of the front. Then there's also, if you watch the show, there's like a barn off to the side, I believe, like stables, I think, because they have horses and they keep the horses in the stables. But then there's also like another private suite room, if you will, that's like another place where they put like basically special guests, and it's like just the fancier version of the room than all of the regular rooms. So there's one of those, and I did that, and at first I thought that like fancy suite thing was supposed to be the barn, so I was kind of confused with like how everything was gonna work, because also it was like on the other side in the floor plan. It was all complicated, but I decided to make them separate things, but I didn't actually end up putting in a barn because we don't have horses, and you know, we thought country life was coming, but then it wasn't. I'm actually not bitter. I was gonna say I'm not bitter, but like in a sarcastic way, but honestly I don't really care that much about country living. Like, you know, it would have been cool maybe, but I think it would have had a lot of shortcomings. Anyway, yeah, so that is pretty much what's going on here, and that is basically all I have to say for the outside of the build. So anyway, how are you guys? I hope you're okay. I'm sorry in my last video, I know I sounded like really down, negative. I was very negative. My talking points were all very negative talking points. I talk about it like I like formulate plans before each voiceover, where I'm like, yes, okay, so I'm gonna tell this story, and then I'm gonna talk about this and talk about that. I don't. That's why they seem so like thrown together, but yeah. I was sort of negative there. It was bad, but yeah, everything's fine now. I'm just having a day, you know, one of those days where you just like are not here for it, and figured the show must go on even if all the performers hate themselves, so I decided to make a video and record a voiceover anyway, and maybe in the future I'll hold off on doing that. I don't know. I don't think it was that bad, but then some people were like, yeah. Anyway, that is basically all that's going on in my life, except for, ooh, I have a funny thing to say. My sister, she's, for some reason, obsessed with the idea that her face is like the face of a cherub. I don't know why, but in her side profile, she has like a really jutting out chin. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but her chin juts out a lot. And she's like been obsessed with the fact that she thinks her face looks like a cherub for some reason. Like, you know, those like little baby angel things. And so today, and also Lord Farquaad, okay, she thinks her profile is similar to a cherub and Lord Farquaad, and it's really funny. So today, she spent, I don't even know how long, photoshopping the bottom half of Lord Farquaad's face onto the top half of a cherub's face. And then she put a picture of herself next to it, so like a comparison picture. It was really funny. And that's like my funny, wholesome story for the day. I don't know, I just think it was very entertaining. I mean, it probably wouldn't be in like regular circumstances, but you know, state of the world, so we take the entertainment where we can get it. And I would put it in the screenshots, like a picture, comparison picture, but yeah, I'm not doing a face reveal for my sister before I do a face reveal for myself, and I'm never doing a face reveal for myself, so yeah, that's not happening. And also she'd probably be mad at me, but speaking of screenshots, oh, I have something I will put in the screenshots, is pictures that I found because I was looking on this website that sells yarn called Wool and the Gang, and first of all, the website is very expensive. The yarn is I don't know what the average price of yarn is, but it seems like it can't possibly be as expensive as it is on that site, so I'm sure it's like really good yarn, or they're scamming people, either or, you know. But yeah, it's just like a nice little yarn knitting website, and under each like type of yarn they have a whole list of patterns of stuff that you can make for it, right? So I found a specific type of yarn that's used to make baby clothes, and I was like, cool, baby clothes. That's pretty interesting. I'm sure there will be some cute pictures in the little section that's like your creations, you know? And the your creations, it was so cute. They were all like little knitted jumpers for dogs, and I was getting so excited. It was just so cute. Okay, like, I don't think you possibly understand just how adorable. Little dogs in like hand knitted sweaters. It was so cute. So I'm putting this in the screenshots because I'm sure we could all use it right now. And that is my other dose of, I don't know, cute positivity for the day. So anyway, the inside of this build is kind of chaotic, I'm gonna be honest. I think one of the interesting things about this, actually, if you watched the Gilmore Mansion build, you'll probably, or part 2 at least of the Gilmore Mansion build, you will know that Lorelai's mom and dad have a very like ornate taste. They really like bougie stuff, and like it's very fancy and luxurious and everything. There's a lot of like golds and stuff. And Lorelai, it's like a plot line throughout the entire show. She sort of rejects their like whole way of life. So I feel like it would follow that Lorelai wouldn't be as into that stuff as they are. And to an extent, like she's not nearly as, I mean, fancy or like totally expensive stylistically, but at the same time she definitely like errs on the traditional side. I don't really know if that's just because of the era of the show, like it was the early 2000s, so I don't really know what the like main architecture of that time was, or if it was the fashion, but she always like in her house, and also obviously this is her own inn that she's like owned and decorated and stuff, she chooses all the furniture herself. So she has a very like traditional taste for it, and she definitely likes like some fancier things. So I thought that was kind of strange at first. Like I felt like, shouldn't she want to go super modern, like if she's trying to be the opposite of her parents? But at the same time, I really like this style. So yeah, actually I did not really like this style, to be honest, before I started this series, but I feel like I've mentioned this several times, but I feel like doing this series, because I've had to do so many different types of builds that like I've never really done before, I feel like I've definitely like grown. Oh, I just said like a lot, I'm sorry, I'm working on that. I feel like I've definitely grown my arsenal of building styles, because it exposes you to a lot of new styles, trying to recreate something. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. I don't know, I always recommend recreations if somebody's like trying to learn how to build. Recreations are like, no, recreation? Recreation. Yeah, recreations are always like the best way to do it, in my opinion, because it's just a lot easier to look at the decoration that someone else has done and sort of get a feel for like what exactly people do when they're putting together a build, because obviously like you can't exactly recreate stuff in The Sims and expect it to look good if it looked good in real life. Like there's just some things, I don't know, about the graphics and just obviously like patterns and flexibility and stuff that you have in The Sims that might not look as good in The Sims as it would in real life. But for the most part, just learning like the basic things that people like put in certain places to make it look good or whatever, like that is definitely really helpful, I think, for learning how to build. I don't know, I can't talk like I'm like the best builder in the world or anything, because I'm definitely not, but you know, from the little experience that I do have, I feel like it's okay. So we just did the entryway, and now we are doing the little like reception desk area. I don't know, there's, by the way, like 3 or 4 sets of couches in this place, and it kind of drives me crazy, because like I don't know how many sitting areas you need. I mean, like I said, I was almost considering making this a lounge just because there's so many sitting areas, and it like really just seems like a place to come and chill out and like, I don't know, talk to people. So yeah, it is kind of interesting in that regard. And I ran out of couches pretty fast, because we have like 3 couches in the game that are like traditional in my mind, and I was doing my best to recreate it like pretty exactly. So one of the couch sets at least is actually the couch from Cats and Dogs, because that couch, I felt like it was the closest thing to the one that they have, although the one that they have, which is in like the main living room that I'm talking about right now, is like red and pink candy stripes. And yeah, we did not have one of those, which I thought was really unfortunate, actually, because that would probably be I think that would be the type of couch that fits into the aesthetic of the game. Well, I'm struggling with my speech today, I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, especially during this series, I've been noticing like the limitations of the game in terms of its just like abilities to customize stuff, which I know The Sims 3 existed, right? And like they had their color wheel and their creative style, and it's all great, it's all fine, but like take these curtains for example, okay? These curtains should have been like this plaid pattern, but then they also should have had like not bright purple on the bottom if I was going to recreate this exactly how it was in the show. And by the way, I kind of hate the plaid too, but you know, I had to do it. I had to do it because it was in the screenshots and I was just doing my best. I think actually it grows on you, so if you look at it right now and you're like, oh, that's disgusting, I promise it gets better with time, but that's fine. Anyway, I think that it would definitely be cool, like, if we had ways to customize it more, but I don't think that's really ever coming to The Sims 4. That's just an opinion, and maybe I'm pessimistic about it, but, like, you know, whatever. So, yeah, I've been looking at Paralives a lot more, like, the build features and stuff, the build tools. I am really excited about it. I know it's not coming for a while, like, it's coming in definitely 2021, I want to say at the earliest, and I feel like that might even be delayed by the current situation, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's like, because obviously it's a lot of online work, so maybe it's still gonna be produced at the same rate, I don't really know, but yeah, I'm getting really excited for that, because I just think it looks like it has a lot of potential, and although I will say the more I'm seeing of it, the more I'm kind of scared that it's going to be like very difficult to run, because obviously that's why they had to like cut so many of the build features out of The Sims 3, because it was literally just like so intense to run on a lot of people's computers. Like, you could not run it unless you had a gaming computer or you had like literally just base game installed. Like, I've had base game of The Sims 3 installed on my computer before, and I just have a laptop, so it ran it like pretty well, but I didn't have graphics very high or anything. But like, it still worked fine, but I can imagine if I had like a few expansion packs or those packs of any kind, really extra content installed, I think it would have been a disaster. So yeah, I am kind of scared that Paralives is gonna like just get too intense for regular computers, and it won't really be like a casual gamer game anymore. It'll be more of a like, I mean, I don't mean to say casual gamer in the sense, you guys know what I'm saying, right? It won't really be like a, you have to have a gaming laptop to play this, or I think that's what it will be like, just a PC or some kind of gaming laptop. So I'm a bit scared about that, because I was really excited for it originally, but obviously I don't want to jump to any conclusions. Like, maybe they will, you know, do everything in their capability to make it still playable by a regular old computer, which I really hope, because I am getting very excited for it, especially if what they've been showing so far, like all the clips and stuff, is just base game, because it looks so cool. And especially in terms of, like I was saying, customizability of the build, like, it's pretty fancy, I gotta say. Like, the stuff that they're doing with stretching out the curtains and like stretching out is probably the wrong word, expanding shelves and all that stuff, I just think it looks so cool, so I'm really excited about that. What if Paralives comes out and it's like really good, I might just like switch this channel to a Paralives channel, I don't know. I mean, I probably will not, because I love The Sims, and like The Sims is my baby, but you know, there's always Paralives for like dark days when I really just, maybe, what if I tried to do the recreations in Paralives, like tried to do all these builds that I've done in The Sims in Paralives and see how it goes, because I feel like it would probably be easier in there, because I know they have a color wheel in Paralives, and also all the other stuff where you can just like expand furniture to your desires and stuff, so I don't know, that might be interesting. I'll think about it. I mean, obviously it's far in the future, so I don't really know, but yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on. And in the build right now, I'm just doing my best to clutter everything up to some extent. The thing about this build that was actually really fun about it was picking out a lot of the furniture. Lorelai has this thing where she just like is really into unique stuff. Like, she doesn't like to get, I don't know, stuff that everybody has, I guess, which is definitely like something that really shines through, I think, in her furnishing of this place and her house and everything. Although her house was probably just for like the lack of money. They couldn't buy a lot of super fancy stuff. But now she has a little bit more say, I think, in the furniture that she wants. So I think that this whole place is actually just pretty reflective of her personality, to be honest. But in general, it was really fun picking out furniture, because I got to look through a lot of stuff that I don't usually pick or think about as like furniture that exists in the game, you know. Like, I kind of stick with my specific styles that I like always do, so it's just definitely been an interesting time, a fun adventure to like look at all this stuff, but specifically with the furniture in this build, because there are some things I didn't even realize existed, like this end table that's in this room and also in the entryway or the foyer. I did not know that existed. Like, I used it twice in this build, and I didn't even realize it was a thing, so I think it's definitely very cool. And I might want to do more builds like this in the future. I don't know. I feel like the thing with these types of like super fancy, not super fancy, I don't think that's the right word, but like just very full of character types of builds is that it's sort of hard to do them by yourself because you've got to like think of the character, right? I used to do that a lot. When I was building, I used to literally like plan out the character in my head. I would make up an entire storyline for them, and like, oh, I used to literally like make Sims before I would make the build. I would just make the Sims that were gonna live in it, as if it was a residential build, of course. If I was doing a shop or something, I wasn't like, yeah, this Sim is gonna like never leave the shop, wow. But I guess I might have made the owner, I don't know. But yeah, I used to do that a lot, so I kind of miss that, like thinking through the storyline of the Sims more that live there, because it definitely like helps to contribute to the build in terms of character. So I don't know, I might do that more often. Anyway, we just did a living room, and that was the room with the cats and dogs couch, and like I said, I'm not really sure how that finished the rest of the build, but I feel like I just had to go for it. In this room I hate deeply with every fiber of my soul. I think mostly I just have an opposition to black furniture for some reason. Like something about it just rubs me the wrong way, because I'm all over this like super dark woods. Like I love those. I use those a lot, probably to a fault, or at least I used to use them a lot. I haven't used them that much recently, but like I like them overall, you know. But just straight up black wood for some reason really bothers me. I don't know why. I just don't think it's like that appealing for some reason. I don't know. I mean, it's fine, don't get me wrong. Like I feel like it ends up working in this build, but I definitely had to change the wall color too, which is what I did here, because it had this like red wall tone that I was just not a fan of. I don't know. I think red can work really well, but I don't think red and black go together, and I mean they do in certain circumstances, like in modern builds for example, but I don't think in traditional builds they do. And also it just did not fit with the like aesthetic of the entire rest of the inn to me, so I didn't think it made sense to use the black, to use the red. So that is what I ended up doing there. And then also one room that I did not include in this is the library. So this is like an office area, right? And I realized afterward that I think I may have been taking the inspiration for the office area based on the library, which doesn't end up being much of a problem actually now that I think about it, because I changed the red walls, and the red walls were like really the defining feature as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, if you notice that, you're like, why is the office like the library? I don't know if anybody really knows much about it, but yeah, I'm getting a bit scared now, because I've been seeing some more people comment lately that actually like watched the series, you know, so not like my series, I mean like the actual TV show. So I'm kind of scared that they like are very invested in the show, and then they will realize things when I don't do something perfectly, and then they're gonna hate me for the rest of my life. But I'm sure that won't happen, you know. I'm sure. Surely that can never. I don't know. Cross your fingers with me. Hope. But yeah. Anyway. So I was just putting up a lot of wall decorations here. I do end up, oh, sorry, wait for a second. I just put that clown down, and I started it for a second. I know it was really sped up here. In the game, it was me staring at that clown for a solid minute, because I just could not stop laughing. It's one of those statues where you put it down and it'll like spawn as a different statue every time. So it's the one with the little like guy holding the umbrella. And I've always thought that statue was cute, but I never really used it for some reason. I think because, actually, I don't really know why I've never used it, but yeah. So I was not prepared for it to like turn into something else when I put it down, because I didn't know it was one of those. I thought it was just like a regular old statue, you know? And then it turned into this clown, like this crying clown, and it was so funny. And I was laughing for a while at it. And then I decided to leave it in the build so that you guys could laugh with me. I don't know. Rewind if you didn't get a chance to like fully take in the clownery of the clown, because it was just really funny. But yeah. Oh, does anybody remember when there used to be that crying clown glitch in the game where they would like show up at restaurants and stuff and they would just be sobbing? Did that only happen to me? No, I'm positive that didn't only happen to me, because I remember seeing it on someone's Let's Play at some point. It was like a while ago, definitely, but yeah, that was funny. And they were just like you're just at a restaurant and suddenly the entire place is full of like crying clowns. I don't remember if they wore clown outfits or if they just had that clown hair. You know, the one that's like the top of their head is shaved and then the sides of it are just triangular prism thing. It's a very funny hair. I don't know why they made it, but I'm sure, I don't know, I guess it was for the clowns, right? But I just wonder how that could happen, you know? Like, how did that, of all the glitches that could occur in The Sims, how did they manage that to have clowns showing up everywhere and crying, because it just, like, clowns being everywhere would be one thing and Sims crying everywhere would be one thing, but together the combination is just comical. And I think it's funny that they have a statue that's like about crying clowns. So yeah, funny statue. I got a lot of laughter out of it, and I'm moving on from that now. So this is the dining room, and this room is the least like accurate of the recreation, I would say, definitely. And the reason for that, I really did try it first. Like, I genuinely did. I looked through so many wallpapers and I cut it out because it was very boring and I just didn't think anybody would be interested in it. But I looked through a lot of different wallpapers, and the one in the actual show is like this kind of beige, like light beachy wood paneling on the bottom, and then it's sort of dark colored, I think it's like dark gray flowers on the top, and it's actually, the print of the wallpaper is very similar to the one that I put down, but it's just in different colors. So I almost used the black paneling and dark gray flowers, but I decided not to do that because it was just sort of making the entire room look dark to me. So what I ended up doing instead was just using all of the furniture that was in the dining room in the show, but then I ended up switching it out, like the color palette of it. So there's definitely a lot more green than there is in the show. There's a lot of green in the show, but like I think it's featured even more here. And then there is like sort of mainly greens and yellows. I think in the show there was like a bit more blue introduced. I tried to do that with the flowers and stuff, so I tried my best. It's just not exact. And the other thing about it that was like I couldn't really recreate was that the shelves, well, there were shelves like coming out of the paneling. So like I said, there was paneling on the bottom of the walls, and then there were shelves that were like attached to this paneling, right? So there was little clutter and knickknacks all over these shelves, and I considered literally putting shelves like all over the, like literally just sizing down shelves and putting them above all of the different paneling. But I decided not to do that in the end. Like, I would have, but I feel like, one, we don't really have that many knickknacks in the game. Like, there are a lot of them. I do my best, but I've used them up, honestly, throughout this series, because there is so much clutter in every single build in the show. I don't know how the set designers, like, managed it, because it must have been expensive, but, yeah, it was wild to do this build, and just all of the builds. I used up most of the clutter is what I'm trying to say, so I wasn't really into the idea of reusing clutter again that I've already used before again, just to like line the shelves of paneling. I don't know, I'm not explaining it well, but I decided not to do that. And yeah, that was basically the dining room's main issue, I'd say, was the color palette wasn't the same, and then the shelves. But I tried my best. I feel like it still has the same vibe. Like, you go in there and you still get the same like feeling as you would in the one from the show, but at the same time it's still sort of different. So I hope you guys don't mind that much. I feel like it's probably fine. I don't think many people are like really that familiar with the show that they're gonna be like, oh, you didn't recreate the dining room properly. I mean, fingers crossed, you know. I probably should not count my eggs before they're hatched. That's a phrase, right? Yeah. No, count your chickens before they're hatched. Is that the phrase? I don't know. Either way, moving right along. This is the kitchen, and this is Suki's main area. So basically, Lorelai is like the manager of the inn, and I don't really know what exactly she does or like how to describe it, but she just like mainly runs the place, and she like is a co-investor with Suki. So they both like bought it together, and they are running it and stuff. And Suki is the chef, so she's like a really well accomplished chef, and she's like great is basically the point of her character. I mean, one point of her character. There are many, obviously. She's a layered character. All of the characters are layered, but Suki is a great chef. Like, that's her thing in life, is being a chef. So yeah, she really likes her kitchen, and it's very fancy. I mean, it's not really that fancy, but it's like large for a kitchen, you know. I would never in a house do a kitchen this big, so I think that is fine. And I did try to include all of the stuff that you would need for a restaurant, because obviously, like I said, I want to make this a restaurant when I upload it to the gallery. So there's like the little restaurant cooking station and stuff like that. I realized I forgot the chef station, so like I said at the beginning of the build, don't come for me for that. Please don't attack me. I'm fine. It's fine. I'll get it in there. It will be in there when I put it on the gallery, I promise. And that is basically like what's going on in the kitchen. It's just very cluttered everywhere. And I kept realizing that I was forgetting like technical stuff that you need in the kitchen. Like I forgot a coffee pot, which first of all, sad incompetence. It's just a tragic thing for me to do, because in the show, one of the whole points of it, not one of the whole points, but it's a really thing that comes up a lot, is that Lorelai like drinks a lot of coffee. So I was really disappointed at myself that I forgot to put a coffee pot in the kitchen at first, but I did put it in eventually. I think I put in that like fancy espresso thing, and then I realized that because it's the one that came with Get Together, it needs to be with the like other part of it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's like a 2-part coffee making machine thing, and the other part of it can only go on that cafe stand from Get Together. So yeah, I definitely decided that was probably not the best thing to use in this scenario, but it would have been cool if they had like a super fancy coffee maker. There's other things I kind of wish I'd put down, like an ice cream maker, popcorn maker, that stuff, because I feel like when are you really going to use that except for something that's supposed to be a kitchen where people cook a bunch of stuff for like a bunch of people. But you know, it's fine. Everything is fine. I probably will not end up putting that stuff in before I upload this build to the gallery. And now we are doing one of the guest rooms. So I decided actually for this build to only include one of the rooms in the speed build because, well, okay, basically they're all just duplicates of each other, and I feel a bit bad about that because I'm sure somebody's gonna want it to be like original types of rooms, you know, and I'm sure actually in the series, now that I think about it, they probably are more original. I didn't put much thought into that, I guess, when I was building this. But they probably do have like unique furniture in each one, but that is what I did. So I just decided to make one room as sort of like a template thing, and they all have a very similar shape to them. Like they're all shaped pretty much the same, pretty much identically, I believe. So yeah, I just made this one. I'm going to duplicate it and put it in all of the other rooms as well, and I will be changing up the furniture and stuff too. Sorry, I know I'm saying all of this stuff in like the future tense. I haven't technically done it yet. I am going to do it before I upload this build to gallery, don't worry. And yeah, so I will be changing up the furniture a little bit so that they still feel unique. Like I'll probably switch out dressers and switch out like maybe desks and maybe beds, and definitely like swatches of everything and whatnot. But overall they will be pretty much the same. So I think that's pretty realistic to hotels in real life. I don't know, obviously I've never been in 2 different rooms of the same hotel. No, that's the lie, actually, I have. Yeah, I don't know, I don't stay in fancy inns ever though. Like I've never been to a place like this. That'd be really like cool, but yeah, we go to Holiday Inns a lot. I mean, or we used to, at least, because I used to be on this competitive softball team and we traveled all the time, so that was like fun times. Woo. Not stressful for a 10-year-old. I'm kidding, actually that was a really fun time, so I'm not going to naysay it. But anyway, the point is, I've never really been to a place like this, so I don't really know how they decorate rooms, but I think that it would definitely be really quaint, and just based on the character of the rest of the build, I feel like they probably change up a lot of the furniture throughout all the different rooms, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And then basically after this build, after this room, we just have like the outside suite left that I was talking about that I thought was a barn, and it was not a barn, it was like a whole other separate thing. So I tried my best with that, and yeah. The thing with this one is that I feel like since it's so disconnected from the rest of the build, like obviously it's in a whole separate building and stuff, I decided to actually sort of go for a different style with it. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell, but it's like less of everything, if you know what I mean. Like it's just a little not as fancy, or no, it is more fancy actually, maybe. I don't really know. I don't really know what I was doing, but it's definitely in a different style than the rest of the build. And I also put that painting above the bed, which I also used in the other room, like, yeah, I believe I did. And I've been gaining a newfound appreciation for that painting during the series, because it's a really nice painting, and it's very, like, it's one of the only, like, fancy paintings that we have in the game, I think, that's not, like, totally outrageous, or, like, a random portrait of somebody, because I feel like random portraits of people are just kind of weird, you know? Like, when are you gonna put that in an inn? It doesn't make sense to me, but, yeah, I'm really appreciating that beautiful still life of flowers and vases. I think it's pretty. So I really like that, basically, is the point of my ramble there. And yeah, we're pretty much just putting stuff here. I will say, I feel like this section of the build was sort of a little bit more influenced by Emily's taste, because when they're opening the inn for the first time and like having guests there for the first time, they invite Emily and Richard to stay in this suite together, and they like stay there. It's a whole thing because Emily and Richard are fighting and like they don't want to be isolated from everybody else, but they are, and Lorelai knows it, and she's like scheming and trying to get them to admit that they're in a fight and whatever. Yeah. So I think that because of that, I was sort of subconsciously like, yes, this seems like something Emily would like, I'll put it here, even if realistically, like, it's not like she designed this room that she was going to be staying in. So I don't know how much that makes sense, but it is a thing that I did. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the build, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, you can leave a like and comment to let me know. Subscribe and click the bell for notifications if you want to see more videos, and you want to get notified every single time that I upload a video. And if you want to play in this build, it will be on the gallery. My origin ID is in the description. That is it. Thank you so much for watching again. Stay safe. Bye.